I'm Jason, this is Kirralee. We've been coming to this church for about 7 or 8 years.
You probably know us most from our worship ministry. We've been on the stage for just about ever since we started coming here.
Got married, living in Thorpe, and then we moved down here. When Kirralee got a job in Bairnsdale, I work in Kirralees, so it was halfway for us. So yeah, we started coming to this church from there.
We both wanted to have children in our marriage, and a lot of couples probably don't expect to be going into a relationship and struggle with something as simple as starting a family. We thought that everything would just happen. We didn't know anyone else at the time who had struggled with that, and we struggled alone for a really long time. Just literally nothing happened. The way that God brought us together in our relationship gave us hope that there was something really special that was going to happen in our marriage and in our faith and in our ministries and stuff as well. It was okay that it wasn't happening, but in the back of your mind it's sort of always niggling there that it's like, this isn't happening the way that we thought, but at the same time we're sort of preoccupied with all this other stuff. So we still knew that that's what we wanted to pursue, but it sort of was just sitting on a back burner.
Wait on God and His timing. Just leave it up to Him, and then it'll happen when it happens. That was my thoughts at the time anyway. And yeah.
That was okay given our age and how long we'd actually been trying, but deep down it's sort of like, okay, well, where do we go from here? I saw a couple of doctors. I wasn't very well, and we talked to them about our aspirations to start a family and the journey up to this point, which had been so nothing. My doctor referred me to someone local who was painted out to be the people to see in this area, and so I felt a lot of hope that this was going to happen. When I went to see them, they did a whole lot of tests, and I still remember to this day sitting in that office, and they came out in a manila folder with my name on it, and the doctor didn't even look me in the eye, and he said categorically, you will never conceive a child, but not only that, you are beyond help. And I was 26. And I looked at him in disbelief, and it was just so definitive. A closed door at 26, that just didn't feel right to me. And I said, I want a second opinion. So I got up and walked out and got the head person of the clinic that I was at, and gave her the, objective rundown, I guess, on who I was. And he said, this is my conclusion, that, she will never have a child and beyond help. And that senior person said, yep, that sounds about right. And that was really hard for Jason as well, because that's his lifelong dream, is to be a father. I don't necessarily feel like I'm here to be a mother. I would love to be a mum, and I believe wholeheartedly I'll be a wonderful mum. But if it never happened for me, then I could live with that. But Jason, on the other hand, I don't think he would.
Really struggle. I probably didn't handle it that well. Personally, I'm more inclined to depression anyway, so that was a start of probably 18 months or 2 years of a really tough time. Yeah.
But did you give up on the dream?
I probably didn't give up in the way that Kirralees gave up at that stage. It's always there. Always try and put it to God. Ask the question, what's going on? I never got an actual response, but there was never a definite no or a definite yes, this is going to happen. So it was an always open question as to where everything was going. Even with the doctor saying that this won't happen, it was always unsure. So it was basically just work was flat out at that time, so it was just head down, bum up, work.
Keep ourselves busy.
Keep ourselves busy. Yep. Keep the mind occupied, and then you don't think about it as much.
Around that time too, I still remember so vividly, we had a Vision Sunday or something of that kind when Pastor Rob was still our senior minister, and he was talking about the values of the church or priorities of the church or something, and I remember that one of those was that we were going to celebrate miracles together as a church. And at that time we were in that hole of this miracle is all we're praying for, all we're longing for. I remember being in the pews, listening to this conviction of one day we're gonna celebrate this miracle, and thinking I just can't see a pathway forward for it at all. That was what we held on to for quite a while, and for a while it didn't really shift from that. A couple of things changed in my situation. I quit the role that I was working that was making me really sick, and that enabled my body to do some of its own healing, and enough that another doctor said, hey, I'll give you this medication which should help. It was just hey, take this tablet for a couple of days a month, and then try again, and come back when you're pregnant. We used up 5 of those 6 rounds over the next 3 years, and there was no pregnancy. So it was like, okay, well then what are the options left? And for us, really they were sort of looking towards the more IVF stuff. I decided I didn't want to put my body through that. I know that it had been successful for other people, I just did not feel like that was my journey. So about a year ago now, I went back to my GP, and I was just there looking for scripts, and she said, oh, you know, how are you going on the medication that, you know, we had you on? I said, actually, I'd really like some more of it. You know, I know that you don't usually prescribe more of this, but it hasn't worked for us, but, you know, I'm confident, you know, let's give it another shot. She said, I'll do you one better though, I'll give you a referral to this guy in Melbourne who comes through this area. She goes, you might not want to do IVF, but there are actually other treatment options. And when we talked about it, she told me about this treatment called IUI. It's Jason's sperm and my egg, and all they're doing is just cleaning the sperm so that it's the best of the best, and then they sort of just shove it in there in my uterus when there's an egg there that's coming through. Every time you do it, your chance of success get a little higher, but every round has about a 20% chance of success, which seems pretty low, but that's 1 in 5, right? The first round that we did, my body did not respond at all, and I was absolutely heartbroken. After taking injections for weeks on end and feeling the hormones that were associated with that, my body actually didn't do anything. Second time we did it, there were 3 eggs, which we were stoked about, because if there's any more than 3, they dump them because that's too many for that treatment, but none of them stuck, which was hard to accept, but at the same time it's like, okay, my body knows what's going on now, and you know, this is working, we just have to have the miracle then.
We're getting progress.
We're getting progress after
7
years of infertility and absolutely nothing. So we went back a 3rd time for the second complete round, and that one was the one that worked. Two days before Christmas, I got a phone call from the fertility clinic that had already shut for the year, and she said, oh, we got your blood test results from the other day, but she said, have you started bleeding yet? And I said, no. And she said, if you haven't had a miscarriage already, you're about to. And I'm like, what? This is not where the journey ends, thank you very much. She said, there's something you can do, you need to get this medication straight away. A couple of weeks later, I was terrified of having this ultrasound and finding that there was no heartbeat, because it had been a miscarriage. But no, there was a heartbeat really strong, and we just cried. So we're now 12, 13 weeks pregnant, and I feel awful a lot of the time, but we're so overjoyed with this miracle. So overjoyed. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that this is actually happening for us now after all this time. And people ask me what it's like being pregnant. It's like, I'm really happy, but at the same time it's like, is this actually for real?
It's been 7 years, I still can't believe it.
I thought about writing that clinic a letter, the one who told me that this would never happen categorically. They took so much information, and they thought that they knew me. They had this manila folder with all these test results, but they don't know that, you know, we serve a God of miracles. They don't know that we belong to a church that's been praying for us for years. They don't know that we've been praying about this for years. you had all the information, but you didn't count on a miracle.